Oh yeah, 1 2 1 2. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing out there? I'm Frank Red, and you're locked in the dungeon. Another edition, live and direct in your ear. We're coming to you after the college football national championship game has taken place. The Michigan Wolverines were victorious over the Washington Huskies, 34-13. The Michigan Wolverines win their first national championship in football in 26 years, where one Charles Woodson raised the trophy. Jim Harbaugh, much maligned, the Mercurial one, brother of John, Super Bowl winning coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Happy for Jim Harbaugh. I've been riding with him for a long period of time. I think you guys know why. I've told the story countless times, and maybe I'll get into it again because it's a pretty unique story how he started his college career as a football coach at the University of San Diego and jump-started a young man's career, Josh Johnson from Oakland, California. Sometimes it's being in the right place at the right time. But yeah, big up Michigan. They were clearly the favorite. They had the best players. I think when you look at their approach to football, the reason why NFL teams are smitten with Jim Harbaugh is because he plays an NFL style of football, smash mouth, Bill Parcellian type of football, mistake-free. Quarterback's not going to throw the ball more than 30 times a game. You know, they're probably going to run it 30 times a game. And, you know, for people who have been football fans for a long period of time, there's something that's attractive to that style that folks like. And I can identify with it. Growing up on the East Coast where you're having inclement weather, watching the New York Giants play that style for so many years, the Washington Redskins at the time, now obviously they are the Commanders. Yeah, so we can talk about that a little bit. I'm going to talk about the quarterbacks. I don't think that J.J. McCaffrey or Michael Penix Jr. Did anything to help their cause. I had watched Penix Jr. for the entire season, and even watched him at Indiana, and he slung it around there also before he got to Washington. And I said to myself, well, what is it about this guy that stops him from being a top-tier quarterback going into the NFL? And he throws off his back foot. That's problematic. And he does that when he doesn't have to. And if I, as a pretty casual football evaluator, notice that, I know the scouts have. So I see him, I mean, he got a nice arm. He has good touch. So I think he'll probably be drafted in the second round. I don't know if he's a first-round pick. I honestly don't. And J.J. McCarthy looks like a third rounder who could eventually develop into a starter. But I don't see either one of those guys as first-round picks. And also, Penix Jr. is not a great athlete. He's a good athlete, but he's not a great athlete. And when you look at where the NFL is going, most of those guys are absolute studs. They really are. I'm Frank Red, everybody. This is the In the Dungeon program. Thank you for joining us. You got something to say, hit us up in the comment section. And yeah, you know, we can get to it. Let's go out and say what's up to the wonderful Vicky. Vicky says, hi, Frank. What a game. I didn't give Washington credit. That quarterback for Washington has a lot of heart. Yeah, he does. I hope he's okay. I'm still not sure if the Warriors should go after Siakam or not. We will see. We're going to get into the Warriors, and Siakam showed even last night. I mean, he's a good player. I'm not questioning that. But the price tag for me might be a little too high. First and foremost, I really don't believe in paying other people's players. I believe in paying my own players. So And the reason being is because you know the makeup of Stephen, Draymond, Clay, even a Moody, even a Kuminga, if they decide to keep him and pay him. They've had multiple years to look at him. Siakam is basically a high gun. He's probably going to go to the highest. He's going to go to the team that offers him the highest salary. That's not real good for me if I got to give up too much. Would I give up Andrew Wiggins and the Moses Moody for Siakam? I would. Going on the premise that as much as I could, I've talked to his people, and there's a good chance he's going to sign a extension. But including Kuminga, no way. It's not going to happen. Vicky, you were pretty darn close. You said the final score of the national championship would be 35-9. It was 34-13. Pretty close. SG, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
As she says, it's McCarthy. Stop it, man. It's McCarthy, not McCaffrey. I didn't say McCaffrey. Did I say McCaffrey? McCarthy. My man Jim says Penix draft stock went down. Yeah, it did. But I hope it didn't. But I hope it didn't go down that much. And sometimes pro scouts and teams learn a lot doing those pro day exhibitions. Like I said before, with Penix Jr., I see one visible flaw, and that's he throws off his back foot. That's not a good thing. But he has tremendous touch. He has a great arm, throws a great deep ball. I'm not saying he can't play. I'm just saying that ideally you want quarterbacks to step into the throws. And I'm going to say this. It can be coached up because I remember when Dak Prescott was at Mississippi State. He threw the ball relatively well. He was kind of a dual threat quarterback. But over a period of time, Dak Prescott has really grown as a quarterback. You see Dak Prescott let that thing go, he gets everything into it. So Penix Jr. throws a laser. He just has to work on his mechanics. His mechanics are not great. Jimmy, that's a pretty good analogy. You said Penix reminds you of Tua. Yeah, and Tua has a tendency to throwing off his back foot as well. But I think over the middle, those short intermediate routes, Tua lets it go. He really does. But on occasion, he will throw off his back foot. I agree with you. Vicky says, neither quarterback are first-round picks. I agree. Penix Jr., I think he's a second-rounder. And McCarthy, I think, is a third-round pick. And the interesting thing about McCarthy is I don't think that he's necessarily going to help himself by going back to Michigan. I think he should come out. If he gets a third-round grade, come out. He's going to be a backup anyway. Doesn't matter. Because we know QBs are a premium second string for each. Yeah. I love to see quarterbacks develop though. And I think both guys have a chance. The only surefire first round picks that I see in college, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously Caleb Williams, USC, Drake, young man at North Carolina. Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to be a first-round pick. I do. Because of his, tremendous athleticism. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. He can throw, but I just think that the overall package that he brings to the table is going to get him in the first round, particularly if he goes to a team that wants to run a system that fits his ability. I think he'll be successful. So how did Michigan win? They ran for 303 yards, just pulverizing and punishing the Washington Huskies. We knew it would not be like a slugfest passing game. If Washington had a chance to win, they were definitely going to be the team slinging the football up and down the field. Now, Michigan won. But let's go back to the third quarter when it was tight. That holding call was probably suspect. I'm not saying 73 didn't hold him. I'm not saying he didn't kind of mow him down to the ground. As Penix was throwing that deep ball to their wide receiver, Romy Ukazia is his name. But it wasn't egregious. If they let that go and Michigan and Washington is successful on that pass play, they're in the red zone. You know, who's to say they wouldn't score and the game is in 2020 at that point? So referees got to do their job. I've seen worse calls, but that was not egregious. I don't think anybody would have called bloody murder if the referees had let that play go. And that was a pivotal play in the game. So, you know. Vicky says, slim pickings this year for QBs. Yeah, coming out of college. I agree with you. So, Vicky, what that does is it really opens things up in the free agent market. You look at a guy like Sam Darnold, who, if nothing else, can run an NFL offense. This is his 6th or 7th year, a lot of experience. You look at a team like a Pittsburgh that really doesn't want a superstar quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger is really the most talented quarterback that they've ever had in their history. And, you know, they drafted him 7th overall, and he lived up to the hype, has had a Hall of Fame career. But that's not the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though Terry Bradshaw was a top flight quarterback and he was a first-round draft pick, you look at the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they generally do not invest heavily in quarterbacks. And I think that's going to be the case. So, you know, you got a guy like Sam Darnold. You have a Russell Wilson out there. There are other players that will find work because, as you said, Vicky, there aren't that many hotshot college quarterbacks coming out. It's basically 2. There's 2. And Caleb Williams, if he comes out, and I'm sure he is, he's going to be thrown to the wolves right away. Maybe Justin Fields is the guy for like a Pittsburgh Steelers or some of these, or the Atlanta Falcons or teams like that. But certainly Chicago is going to want at least 1 first-round pick for Justin Fields. I wouldn't give up more than that, but I could see trading a first-round pick to Chicago for Justin Fields. I think he's that good. And for whatever reason, I think Chicago wants a clean slate. I think they're probably going to draft Caleb Williams, talented guy. And you do get an opportunity to kind of reset the salary scale. And maybe they go out and draft the Washington wide receiver with the 9th or 10th pick. I think he'll be available at that point. So it's going to be interesting. But Vicky, I would agree with you. There aren't that many great college quarterbacks. Vicky also says Michigan won in the trenches. I'm glad they didn't call targeting on that kid from Michigan. Yeah, me too. SG says, I'm doing a Warriors versus Pelicans postgame show on the 10th with Barry Baller. Wow, outstanding. I don't know. I might be doing a show myself. Maybe I'll jump in. But I wish you all the best, brother. So yeah, generally speaking, the West Coast is usually not in the national championship conversation for college football. Washington was this year. Still, for whatever reason, college football is just not the biggest sport on the West Coast. It's just not. Big up Washington. They had a great year. I'm disappointed in all the Pac-10-12 teams that are leaving. I am. Because I think you'll get your asses handed to you. I honestly believe that. Unless you can recruit with the big boys. Also, I mean, Washington, they got rain. Oregon, they have rain, right? But is UCLA and USC used to playing in inclement weather? No, they're not. Can somebody explain to me, outside of greed, why they're leaving? Even Arizona. Are you kidding me? I think that ultimately they're going to do documentaries on this. I think the demise of the Pac-10 is going to be one of the biggest sports tragedies of this particular era. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be like LeBron going back to Cleveland all over again. They're going to put that thing back together. With what teams? I don't know. But the Pac-12 is going to rise again. It makes too much sense. There's too much money out there for some entity on the West Coast not to find a way to put together a package to have a league. Individual greed cost that league. All right. All right. If you want to talk about the championship game once again, we can do that. I think what's more interesting is where does Harbaugh go at this point? Vicky says Stanford will not win a division game next year. I mean, who are they going to beat? I'm with you, Vicky. First and foremost, Stanford's never going to be big time in NIL. They're just not. The university is a educational NIL. People don't go to Stanford solely to play sports. Come on. I don't know what they were thinking. And Cal is not spending money in sports. That's not going to happen. It's not. So I mean, you know, I don't get that either. It is absurd. All right. Jim Harbaugh wins his national championship. You know, he can hug his brother with sincerity now and not think about his loss in the Super Bowl. Certainly when, sports are not in the balance. I'm sure they love each other like brothers. But those are two competitive dudes. And Jim Harbaugh needed to get over. And he finally got over. So he won his national championship. His brother has a Super Bowl. Now, the grudge match can restart again. All right. I'm going to say this about Jim Harbaugh and the Raiders. As wonderful a job as Antonio Pierce did, I don't have a problem, I have no problem with Mark Davis being very interested in Jim Harbaugh as a coach. The Raiders was his first NFL job, by the way. His mentality is reminiscent of Mr. Davis and John Madden and John Gruden. He wants to play smash mouth football. And although he wasn't the offensive coordinator, in terms of titles this year, and his offensive coordinator actually got some run because he was suspended for 6 games. Jim Harbaugh is a brilliant play caller, and I think he's a good fit for the Raiders. I do. I think he's a good fit. I don't know if Antonio Pierce would be able to stomach working for Harbaugh after he's done a more than credible job as a head coach. But I think that Antonio needs head coaching experience. I do believe that. And I don't know where he's going to get it. He certainly should be in line to be a defensive coordinator. And Antonio Pierce was coaching high school football 7-8 years ago. Less than that, actually. It's frustrating because you want to see a black man get an opportunity because they're so rare. But when you look at it from a wide view, I get Jim Harbaugh going to the Raiders. I get that. I would love for somebody to make an argument to tell me why Antonio Pierce should be the head coach of the Raiders. Here's my thing with head coaches. And this is how unique Mike Tomlin is. And for all the people who doubted Mike Tomlin, who said he wasn't a great coach, I'm still waiting for you to call the program and apologize. I'm still waiting. Still waiting. Players change, right? So your ability to motivate your players, Tomlin gets a lot of credit for that, and he is a master motivator. But I think at some point, you need to have your hands and an understanding on the offense and on the defense as well. Do you need to be the offensive coordinator? I don't think you need to do that, or the defensive coordinator. But you need to have a philosophy on what you want your teams to do. And maybe Antonio Pierce has that. I don't know. But in the interview process, he needs to be able to definitively speak to, well, what kind of schemes do you want to run? That's important. I believe it is. Vicky says, I'd like to see Jim stay at Michigan. And he might if he doesn't get the job that he wants. But I think his time in Michigan's done. Too much. I mean, any other coach probably would have been suspended for a year. But because he's Jim Harbaugh, they kind of danced around that a little bit. I think it's time for him to go. Aussie Rules. Goodbye to the Pac-12. What a shame. I agree with you, brother. Chubba Purdy, brother of Brock Purdy, has entered the NC2A transfer portal, and Cal's looking to sign him. Wow, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be good for the parents. Because I think he was on Nebraska last year, right? I think he was on Nebraska last year. That would be good. I think he's a decent prospect. But if he's at Cal and his brother's with the 49ers and the parents are in Arizona, that's heaven right there, man. Belichick, I think Belichick's going to stay in New England. I do. I think he's going to stay. I think Belichick's going to have, he's going to listen to people, wink, wink, with regard to the personnel. And I think he's going to draft the quarterback. Because people can talk about the game passing you by. The game passes you by when you don't have a quarterback. That's when it really passes you by. So I watched New England this year. They play hard every game. They lost a lot of games, Well, they lost 13. What were they, 4-13? But no one can say they didn't play hard. They played very hard, particularly defensively. They need a quarterback. That's what they need. Vicky says no, Purdy will get his head kicked in. You know, Vicky, I must confess, I was thinking of Purdy playing in the Pac-12. It still hasn't registered to me yet. But he's playing in the ACC. Although they got a quarterback who they like. Not a superstar, but he played decent football this year. But yeah, it's a whole new party. I don't know what division Cal is in the ACC, but look at that league. Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina State, Duke, Wake Forest. Maybe they can beat Syracuse. You know, it's tough. It's really tough. So you got Harbaugh, you got Belichick, Ron Rivera has gotten fired. I'm gonna tell you something. I love Bob Myers' arc in his post-Warriors front office career. He gets to fly around, talk basketball on ESPN, and now he's a consultant hiring football coaches. What a cool life. You know? I thought that the dude was going to run Disney. That's honestly, that's what I think. I mean, I think I said that a year ago or 6, 7, 8 months ago. I think he's going to succeed Bob Iger. I think that's his next move. Now, I don't mean like be the guy, but I could see him being a face of a Disney, something like that. He has the look. He has the charm. He clearly understands people. And that unique skill to get people is in demand. And very few people have those unique skills that hone into that dynamic of what person will work in said environment. I think Bob Myers has that. I think partly because he's dealt with so many different type of people. He was an agent. He was not only an agent, he was a player. He played at UCLA. Wasn't a great player, but he is an athlete. He's also dealt with Hollywood types, rich people, you know, pretty unique guy. Nah, Pac-10 is done, SG. Vicky says, I think Bob could run for president of the USA. Really? Yeah, he could run. He'd blow the cameras up. I'm sure he'd get a lot of. I mean, think about it. We don't want to admit it, but elections. I had to bring freeze for a second. Elections, to a large degree, are popularity contests. They are. They are. Vicky says Bob's not dirty though. No, I don't know he's dirty, but I don't know a politician who doesn't do deals, Vicky. You have to do deals, and some of the deals you kind of hold your nose and turn your head, and you still do the deal. That's life in a nutshell. I mean, I've thought about politics a little bit because I like to see some things get done. But I don't know how good I'd be at it because I'm I got strong convictions about how I feel about things, and that's not politics. Politics, you're gonna have to bend probably more than you want to bend. Austin Rules says USC, Oregon, Washington, and Big Ten. Awesome conference next year. Yeah? But who's going to survive? Who's going to win? A lot of eye candy there. I mean, these coaches, Austin Rules, get fired, right? You better win. I tell you that. You better win. And, I mean, there's no days off there. John Smith, I believe his name is. He's going to Michigan State. He's going to bring the backup quarterback from Oregon State with him, who is a beast. That's a tough conference. USC went out and paid a gang of money to get a brand new defensive coordinator. Well, they got UCLA's defensive coordinator. They poached him. And they need him because, you know, that Hollywood styles, you know, we're going to throw the ball all over the field. That's not going to work in the Big Ten. Not going to work. You're going to need to have balance, offensive and defensive balance. Otherwise, you're going to get embarrassed. Vicky says, good luck to them in the Big Ten. Now, here's the other side that nobody's talking about. And I think probably the decision makers are having some real warm feelings over. I'll just leave it at that. It's going to create the best gambling and betting environment that college sports has ever seen before. And I'm not a gambler, so I don't think of stuff like that. But when I start to think critically about, well, what does this mean? What don't we see? What are they not telling us? That's it. It's the gambling component that is going to open up like it never has in the history of gambling on college sports. Usually in the past, these East Coast gamblers, 11 o'clock at night, they can pack it in and go to sleep or go get, go to the bar or just do whatever they're going to do. Not now. Those 8 p.m. USC versus, Michigan battles, and it's not a bowl game. It's like 8 p.m. on the East Coast at 11 p.m. now. It's interesting. So a lot of money is involved in betting and the demise of the Pac-12 and getting these quality teams going to these bigger conferences. Even if they win or lose, it's almost irrelevant. They are names. They are brands. And I get it now. That's the cherry. It's the gambling component. That's what it is. Austin Rule says Harbaugh wants players to be paid mixed with gambling. What? Yeah? You had me at players get paid. Anything beyond that, what? That's kind of crazy. We're going to get into the Warriors and we're going to get into the Kings. But before we do that, I wanted to talk and get your opinion on Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston went into a monologue after the game why he and his teammates collectively decided to overrule the head coach and not go into victory formation and kneel down and instead allow one of their teammates to score his first touchdown of the year. I love Jameis Winston in college. I think if you look at his NFL career, it's been meh compared to his talent. He's made a lot of money, but his career has not been what I think most of us thought it would be or hoped it would be. He's had some off-field stuff that hasn't been cool. Football is different than most other sports. And the reason why football is different is because there's a real element of pain and violence. And you can get hurt, and you will get hurt if you play this game long enough. So coaches and players are very particular about how they perform on the field because they can get hurt. You don't see basketball players generally praying after the game. Maybe some you do, but generally speaking, you don't see that. You see that in football. I thought Jameis was wrong. And if I'm the head coach and a player playing quarterback who I have to trust 100% goes against what I ask him to do, I can't have that guy on my team. I can't. Shannon Sharp said he should be cut. He's going to be a free agent this year. It's going to be interesting to see if he gets another gig, because you know the NFL, they will blackball you in a minute. You know, they will. They will tell you every excuse in the book not to hire you. And it's going to be interesting to see if Jameis gets another job. I thought that was a real bad move. First of all, his teammate who worked hard every day in practice, as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't missed a check. Right? Imagine every team in the NFL taking that point of view. Yeah, let's get the third string, let's get the sixth wide receiver on the roster who just been called up from the practice squad a touchdown when we go into kneel down formation. Can you imagine? That was a bad look, Jameis. Aussie Rule says not great sportsmanship, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I play team sports, man. Didn't like it. Vicky says the gesture was nice. The way he did it was wrong. So, how else could he have done it, Vicky? I don't know how he could have done it. I don't know. I think it's an either-or proposition. You're either going to kneel down and do what the coach tells you to do, go into victory formation, or you're going to go rogue and have the guy run the ball in. Atlanta at that point had relaxed. I mean, they could have pulled a muscle or broke a leg or something could have happened because they were not prepared for that. Now, here's some irony though. I was equally appalled by Arthur Smith's show at the end. You're outraged, because somebody tried to show you up when you gave up 42 points? He's a hothead. I didn't like that act either. I thought equally those examples were bad. I felt bad for Dennis Allen. That's what I felt bad for. Because he had nothing to do with it. He got admonished on national television. He still was effusive in his apology to Arthur Smith. He had nothing to do with it. Timmy says, where does Harbaugh go next year in the NFL? I think the Raiders. I think he's going to the Raiders. As a coach, if he can score. Well, the coach is going to say no, Vicky. No way. Did you not hear me? Jameis, did you not hear me? Victory formation. It's why Jameis didn't ask him. Because he knew he was going to say no. These coaches hire each other all the time. The players have a brotherhood and the coaches have a brotherhood. They hire each other all the time. It wouldn't surprise me next year if Arthur Smith is on the Saints coaching staff and Jameis is gone. Because Arthur Smith is an excellent play caller. I mean, he became a head coach because of his ability to call plays as the OC of the Tennessee Titans. There you go, Vicky. Vicky says, so be it. Yeah. It's done. But I think it's another dark mark on Jameis Winston. It just wasn't a good look for him. It really wasn't. Saquon Barkley. I mean, I have some allegiance to the New York Giants. Grew up a Giant fan, Parcells. The owner of the Giants used to come to my basketball games. Not just to see me at Fordham. I mean, he went to Fordham, so he's come to watch the basketball games. I happen to play. But I always took great appreciation that Mr. Mara would come to Fordham to watch our basketball games. He's passed now, and his son's taking over. I don't like how they've treated Saquon Barkley. I just don't. Saquon Barkley, to me, is right there with CMC. And I would love to see him go somewhere else, get his money, and have a great career. Because I think that he's represented himself with class, and the Giants have not reciprocated. And, I mean, the Giants historically have been a real classy organization. I still think they are. But I think this has been a bad look with Saquon Barkley. He's the leader of the team. Pay the guy. Even this year, he was a great teammate, played his tail off, and had a damn good year. So, I don't know what's going to play out there, but I wasn't happy about how the Giants treated Saquon Barkley. All right. Let's get into what we saw last night when the Toronto Raptors ran the Warriors off the court, 133 to 118. And we all know it was a lot bad. It was a lot worse than that. The score was 76 to 59 at halftime. RJ Barrett had scored 27 points. I've never seen the Warriors in recent memory just be overwhelmed like that. That was amazing. It absolutely was. And here's the thing. Thank God it's only one game, first of all. But these coaches worked their tails off. So they knew what was coming. They told all the Warrior players in the scouting reports, your transition defense has to be on point. You got to run up and down the court. The Warriors either did not believe it or they didn't care. And they got embarrassed. So I'm interested in seeing how they come out on Wednesday. And, people have been talking about, well, Draymond needs a week to ramp up and I say put him out there Wednesday. It would not surprise me if there's news tomorrow that says that Draymond might play on Wednesday. That would not surprise me at all. They need him to play on Wednesday because they need somebody to run their offense. This is an interesting time in Stephen Curry's career because it's the first time that teams feel that they have a way to not stop him, but make life hard for him. When Stephen came in the league, there was not that many 6'7", 6'8" defenders who could play two guards. Those players were an anomaly, but they're not anymore. Every team has a guy who's 6'7" with long arms, who has the lateral quickness to play a two guard. And that's what they do in the Steph. And because teams really don't have to hedge on the other Warrior players because they're not shooting well, sometimes you have like three people guarding Steph. And it's tough. It's hard. And I will say this. Stephen's had a pretty tough 2 to 3 weeks defensively. He has not been good defensively. He's been terrible. He really has. And as a result, teams are going at him in ways that they have not done in the past. And I don't know how they change that. I think playing with the lead kind of gives you more flexibility. Kerr, he's a smart coach. He knows you can't play zone when you're losing. You can't. You cannot play zone when you're losing. And the reason being is because you can't gain momentum. You can't. When NBA teams play zone, they do so to change the momentum, confuse the opposition. It's usually at a real nick and tuck type position in the game. It's not when you're down 17 or you're up 17. No, the zones generally are not employed during that particular time. So Kerr's hands are tied when the Warriors get down 14 in the first quarter. You can't play zone. You can't. So I'm just looking for this team to come out with intensity, maximum intensity on Wednesday. If they do that, they'll have a good chance to win. And I'm not one of these skies falling type of people. I mean, they're 2 games below 500. The season's not even halfway over yet. And they've proven that they can beat good teams. But they're not well. They got to get well. And they need Draymond Green badly right now. They really do. Vicky says, go to the 49ers with a backfield. That would be. Well, that would be nice, Vicky, but you can't pay everybody, right? Saquon's going to make CMC makes $16 million a year, highest paid running back in the NFL. That's what Saquon wants. The Sacramento Kings lost by 30. Moody and Clay played good. Boy was Clay was mad with Steve. Oh, really? I didn't see that. Oh, yeah? I'm going to say this, though. Clay's defense, when the game started, Vicky, was not good. Did he make shots? Yeah, he did. But his defense was not good. None of their defense was good. I looked at the plus minus in the first half of every starter. It was atrocious. Terrible. Austin Rule says, I almost want Steph to retire. Move on to the NBA team ownership. Just don't want to see Steph in decline. Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. I don't think it has to be that way, though. I don't. I think they just need to get right, man. They've had some tough situations. Now, can they win a championship? I mean, wow. Have you seen Denver lately? You know, OKC. It's a young person's game. It really is. And the Warriors have not developed enough young players who can be potential superstars. So they're good. They can win an opening round series. Anything more than that, I don't know. I don't know. Because they're not a good defensive team. I can stomach bad shooting nights if you could inflict your will on the opposition. The Warriors are not a good defensive team. They're not. I wrote it in a tweet. It was a shame that the Warriors lost to the Denver Nuggets recently, because that might have been their best defensive effort. They were outstanding. The tenacity of every player. They were making shots, a lot of energy, and Denver just walked them down. But you might see the Warriors playing defense like that 1 out of every 8 games. You can't win like that. Can't. So I'm excited to see Draymond come back, and hopefully, he's able to keep himself together because he matters. I want the trade deadline to hurry up and pass so we can see what the Warriors want to do. I can see trading Moody simply because I want him to have a career, get an extension, and be rewarded for being the good player and great guy that he is. Andrew Wiggins, I have no ill will towards Andrew Wiggins. Zero. He seems like he's a nice human being, good guy, good teammate. I just can't figure him out. Can't. I don't understand it. If I was playing with Andrew Wiggins, it would drive me crazy because I wouldn't know what I was getting from game to game. If Toronto wants to take him and Moody for Pascal, I'd do it. I would do it. Now, I've heard some stuff on the radio about adding Kuminga. Are you out of your mind? Really? You getting paid how much money? I thought about this today as I was starting to mentally prepare for a show. Jonathan Kuminga, at this point, has surpassed Josh Giddey in terms of value around the league. There's more teams that would take Kuminga over Josh Giddey. And when they came out first year and a half, in spite of the stuff that Josh has going on off the basketball court, let's keep it basketball. I think Jonathan Kuminga is a more attractive player than Josh Giddey at this point. If you're the Warriors, no, you don't trade him. The Warriors were considering trading Kuminga for like the 4th or the 5th pick, which would have been one of the Thompson twins. As much as I like the Thompson twins, I don't like either one of them more than I like Jonathan Kuminga right now. Neither one of them. So stand pat on Kuminga. He's already signed for next year. Maybe if something happens that we can't conceive, happens in the second half of this season, and he just blows up, and he wants to sign for a number that you feel comfortable with, maybe you sign him to an extension. But I'm not trading Jonathan Kuminga. Not happening. Vicky says, I saw the smoke coming out of Clay's ears. Wow. Austin Rule says, like Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Bill Russell in decline, didn't enjoy that phase of these great players. Yeah. It's tough. And Stephen's not there. Stephen's averaging 27, 28 points a game, all-star. But he can't beat three people. Definitely can't do that. Aussie Rule says, if the Warriors not championship contenders, why see Stephen decline? Like a beautiful stallion in later stages of life. Well, there's a lot of reasons. He's eye candy, Aussie Rules. He's eye candy, okay? There's always going to be somebody who wants to see Stephen Curry for the first time. He can still play. He's still really good. But check the balance sheet. Stephen Curry is worth a lot of money to the Golden State Warriors. Probably more to them at this stage than anybody else. So that's why. He can still play. He's probably, he's one of the greatest humanitarians that have played professional sports that we've seen. The work that he does in the Bay Area, he and his wife and his foundation, is unbelievable. There's so many positive things to say about Stephen Curry that would say, you know what? It might be painful at times, but let's ride this thing out. We don't ever want to see this guy wearing another uniform. I don't think it's going to happen. Vicky says, that's why you don't trade JK, Moody, Pods, TJD. Yeah, listen, Vicky, you know, because you read my tweets. I'm okay with just standing pat. You know, I'm not one of these Trader Jack guys, in which I have to go out in the market and shake things up. You know, the chemistry's not good. We need to shake things up. Nah, I'm not that guy. I'm like, yo, let's get it right from within. Let's build. But I think the Warriors would be better with a front line of Trace Jackson Davis or Looney, Draymond, Pascal Siakam, Stephen, and Clay, and committing to Kuminga for 28, 32 minutes a game. You know, make sure he gets his minutes. That's all. That's all. But Siakam is a bona fide scorer. That's pretty much what he is. Pretty good defender when he wants to play. Not a three-point shooter, but he's going to score. He's going to score. He's going to work hard. He's going to run up and down. He's a professional basketball player. He's dependable in ways that Andrew Wiggins is not. And that alone, to me, justifies the Warriors making that deal. Vicky says, I'm done with Wiggins. Oh, boy. To the curb, huh? SG says, hey, Frank, who do you got winning between the Steelers and Bills in the wild card game for the AFC? I got the Steelers winning. I'm probably a little biased because I damn near always go with Tomlin. But I mean, TJ Watt's hurt. We don't know if he's going to play. Maybe not. They still got Highsmith. Mika Fitzpatrick is probably going to play. I like Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh can get on a run. There's not a team in the AFC that Pittsburgh can't beat. Who? Who can't Pittsburgh beat? They can beat everybody in the AFC. I'm excited, man. Who do you got, the Chiefs or the Dolphins? I got the Chiefs. Can't trust Miami, dude. Vicky says, was it Halliburton that got hurt tonight? And also Ja Morant out for the season? Yes. Halliburton did get hurt. And Ja's out for the year. I think Ja being out for the year is almost kind of par for the course. Obviously, I wasn't happy when Ja got hurt, but I was ambivalent about it. I mean, you know, they weren't going to do anything this year. There wasn't. And I also think that he probably needs a timeout. Now he can have a timeout, rehab, and get paid. You know? But, I'd rather sacrifice this year for Ja to see him go through a period of development where he can play in the NBA for the next 10 years. Probably can't see it now, but that's probably a blessing in disguise that Ja can't see, other people who love him can't see. I think him just kind of being with his family, you know, rehabbing, getting his body together is probably a good thing. In the NFC, who do you got winning, Cowboys or Packers? Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm a Dak Prescott fan. And the Dak show's rolling right now. I'm all up in there. Popcorn. Dak show. Love it. Aussie Rules. The NBA would be lucky to have Steph as a team owner. Will it happen in the future? For sure. I don't know. Aussie Rules, these owners are sharks. And you got to have a lot of money on an NBA team. I don't know could Steph be a part of an ownership group? Of course. Could he, do some type of LBO, leverage buyout? Yeah. Could he bring a third party entity in? Yeah. But the NBA has grown so much to the point where the dollars have been ramped up. Think about this. A decade ago, Joe Lacob paid with Goober and maybe some of their other partners, and we don't know how the financial package was put together, but in essence, the Warriors were sold for $450 million 10, 11 years ago, right? The Warriors are worth $7 billion now. Warren Buffett would be proud of that. So Steph is going to have a lot of dough. Great ambassador. But I don't know if anybody wants to sell, man. I mean, these NBA franchises are like jewels. That's why it surprises me that Alex Rodriguez was able to slide up in there. A-Rod. Wow. Who are you going with, Lions or Rams? I'm going to go with the Lions at home. Love their coach. Love Dan Campbell. Jared Goff, I think, is living right. And the Rams will probably give him a good game. But I think Detroit's going to win. And in spite of the Eagles not playing well, I think they're going to beat Tampa Bay in Florida. I don't think the Eagles are making it to the NFC Championship game, but I think that they will win a playoff game. I do. Nick Sirianni, their head coach, he has a lot of questions to answer at the end of this year because he comes off really, really arrogant. And I mean, I think his demise happened when he changed the defensive coordinator and inserted Matt Patricia. Really? Come on now. Matt Patricia could be brilliant, but the optics of that move didn't look good, right? There aren't that many blacks in leadership positions in professional sports. It's not. With that said, everybody needs to do their job, and your color really shouldn't matter with regards to how you're being judged for doing your job. But when it's close, it does matter. If you're going to replace a black man as your defensive coordinator with Matt Patricia, who seemingly has had every opportunity in the book, every opportunity known to man, no matter how brilliant he might be. Have you ever, talk about cats having 9 lives. Are you kidding me? You're going to replace your defensive coordinator, who's a black man, with Matt Patricia, and the defense gets worse? You got to answer to that. And I don't think Nick Sirianni has. I made the call. Yeah, you made the call. It hasn't worked, homeboy. I'm going to say this. This is why race is really interesting, and it matters. It's that kind of like that third rail. The 49ers play hard for their defensive coordinator. They play real hard for him because they know any deviation from success, he's going to take a lot of heat. They already know that. So they're on board working really hard for Coach Wilkes. You can say it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. This is a guy who won 5 games last year with a ragtag bunch in Charlotte. And the billion-dollar owner kicked him to the curb. Wouldn't even give Steve Wilkes not even a chance. Bye. I'm going to bring in my own guy. So, I also think Jalen Hurts is not quite healthy. Jalen Hurts is not a great pocket quarterback. He's a dual threat quarterback. And when he uses deception between the pass and the run, he is basically unstoppable. He hasn't been that this year. Quantify that, Vicky. Vicky says, I love the Bills. Why? They don't play up to their full potential. I knew they'd make the playoffs, though. I didn't know that. Because they usually come up when they need to. When you think that they are about to fall completely on their faces, they rally. And they got good players. SG says, which teams do you got moving in to the divisional round AFC? I think Pittsburgh's going to win, and I think Kansas City's going to win. Who else is playing? The Texans play who? I don't think the Texans are going to win. In the NFC, I got Dallas winning. I got Philly winning. I think that's it, right? Who else? So Dallas and Philly. There's some other teams too. I can't think of right now. Oh, and Detroit. I got Detroit winning. RC Rule says, watch Steph's graduation ceremony from Davidson. He totally respects education, instructors, coaches, speeches by his mother, professors, and Coach McKillop were very moving. RC Rules. My life has been I'm like the fifth Beatle, dude. Sometimes I think I'm the fifth Beatle. And I'm going to tell you why. I know Coach McKillop very well. Coach Bob McKillop was a high school coach when I was in high school. So I know him from Long Island. His career started in New York on Long Island, where I played high school basketball. And there was a kid who grew up in the projects where I grew up. I'm not going to mention his name, but Coach McKillop kind of knew me, and he knew a lot of people. But I was a mentor to this kid, and Coach Bob McKillop basically gave him an opportunity to go to the high school where he coached, Long Island Lutheran, which is a powerhouse now. It's always been a powerhouse. Bill Winnington went there. Carmelo Anthony's kid goes there now. I can't think of it. What's Carmelo and Lala's son's name? But he goes to Long Island Lutheran. So many great players have gone there. And Bob McKillop has always been about education, always. And back in the day, particularly in New York, all of the coaches looked after all the kids. It didn't matter if you played for them or not. It didn't really matter. There was truly a brotherhood, a parental type of connection to young men and young women. And I'll never forget that. It really started the foundation of my life, of doing things in a positive way. And my coach was a legend. I mean, a lot of those guys looked up to my coach, Frank Morris, who the high school basketball legend. But Bob McKillop's a great man, great coach. And I have a connection with him. I actually interviewed him before, but great guy. And I know that he's had an impact on Stephen Curry's career. And the fact that I've had some connection with him means a lot, because I know he's a good man. There you go. Vicky says, Philadelphia died when the 49ers gave him that beat down, right? It kind of feels that way, right? Bewildered. Yeah. Which team do you got making the Super Bowl? Oh, wow. I'm going to say either or. The 49ers or the Cowboys. I'll let you Cowboy 49er fans fight it out. And I'm going to say Kansas City. I think Kansas City, in all of their sorrow, I think when the money gets real, they're going to find a way to get it done. I just believe that. I think they're going to find a way to get it done. So Kansas City versus the 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys. Aussie Rule says ownership group, requires billions. Yes, it does. It does. I can definitely, who wouldn't want Stephen a part of their ownership group? Steph has an ATM machine in his house with Under Armour. That thing ain't going nowhere. I'm not saying it's going to be Jordan's, but dude's going to be making money forever with Under Armour. Forever. Forever and ever, forever and ever. We will be here. Karis One's album. Vicky, again, like Bob, Steph is not dirty. Businesses is cutthroat. Yeah, businesses are cutthroat. You got to do deals. I don't think Steph is beyond that. Steph is not dirty, but Stephen Curry will cut your tongue out. you know, in the playing field, there's no tougher competitor than Stephen Curry. Believe that. So, Vicky, you said the Lions are going all the way. What do you say with the Lions? What does that mean? Lions victory? Is that what you said? Aussie Rule says, Las Vegas or Seattle franchise expansion team does not come along very often. That's why I think he could retire early to buy one of these expansion teams. Well, here's the deal. Those teams are going to cost $3 to $5 million, $3 to $5 billion, and you know, he got money. I'm gonna tell you a dark horse for an NBA team. That Byron Allen. I don't know if he's interested, but Byron Allen, talk about a come-up story. This dude is rich. Byron Allen is very rich and very well connected. And if the NBA wants to be diverse and do the right thing, I think do the right thing. You know, they would listen strongly to minorities, people of color, who have the requisite requirements to own a franchise, particularly now with Michael Jordan selling his. That Las Vegas franchise is going to be in demand. I mean, there's a lot of money up in Seattle, but that's different money. That's Microsoft money. That's, it's different. That Las Vegas money, whew. Wow. Lions versus 49 in the championship game. Okay, I got you. You want to make it easy for the 49ers, right? To buy the A's, you need $3 billion, which is crazy. Are you serious? Are you serious? Wow. Last expansion team was Charlotte 20 years ago, Toronto, Memphis 30 years ago. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. And I actually think that once they lock in with 32 teams, I don't see them expanding anytime soon. I think Nashville is probably a market that I think the NBA likes Nashville, despite their politics. I think they like Nashville, but I think that they would like, quiet as kept, for the Memphis team to move to Nashville. I don't think they want an expansion team in Nashville. I think they would like the Grizzlies to move there, which would be a shame. I don't want that to happen, but I think the NBA would love that. Vicky says the 49ers defense players have played hard for the last defensive coaches. Yeah, they've all been people of color. Right? They have one thing in common. They've all been men of color. Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans, and now Steve Wilkes. Yeah. Yes. Funny how that works. It's kind of a thing. It really is. What do you think about some people sending death threats to Draymond's mother? Really? Wow. Shameful. Unacceptable. Evil. I come on now. Really? I haven't listened to the Draymond Green show. I really didn't want to listen to it. I just want to see him on the court. But I've heard like snippets and stuff, and Adam Silver supposedly talked him out of retirement. I think what Adam Silver did was give him a really quick math lesson. He said, Draymond, let's go back to third grade. This is what $90 million looks like. Over here, let's draw a picture. You want to put it in gold bullion? All right, we can draw gold. We can have a digital picture of gold, dollars. And over here is nothing. This is zero. This is zilch. Okay. I think I won't retire. In all seriousness, I think Draymond probably had some low moments where he thought about a lot of different things. But ultimately, retiring, giving up that kind of generational wealth, even though he's already rich, I don't think would have been a smart thing to do. SG says, yeah, Kiyan, right? Kiyan Anthony plays for Long Island Lutheran. Yes, that's the school where Bob McKillop coached at. Yeah. Kiyan's getting a lot better, too. Good player. Yeah. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is I like the Kings. I'm a bigger fan of their fans. The Sacramento Kings market their fan base. I love those people. And the reason being is because, again, I'm loyal as hell. If it wasn't for them, I would not exist. I would have never had a career. So I'll ride with the Sacramento Kings fan base until the wheels fall off. Right? To see Stephen Curry sitting before a room full of reporters after being humiliated by the Toronto Raptors is what we all expect from him, because he's professionalism personified. We can talk for hours about his level of professionalism. Klay Thompson, I've seen Draymond. These guys do many things the right way. Now, the Sacramento Kings players, after getting boat whacked by the New Orleans Pelicans, left and did not even do a post-game presser after losing by 30. The second time this year they've done that. That's disrespectful to the game. It's disrespectful to their coaches. Most importantly, it's disrespectful to the fans who are paying $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 to see those guys play. $1,500. That's just bad. And I guarantee you, Adam Silver has been on the phone talking to the owner and saying, listen, the general manager, this can't stand. And from De'Aaron Fox's perspective, this is a bad look, homeboy. You're one of the top 20 players in the NBA. You've earned that. Be a pro, man. Domantas Sabonis, you just got a check for $215 million. That was his extension. You can't take a little heat after getting blown by 30, even if you need treatment. Because, both guys could have been hurt. I have no idea. But you can't spend some time. This is not the first time. When they got whacked by the Boston Celtics, they did the same thing then too. I'm just glad the Warriors don't do stuff like that. I can't imagine the Knicks doing that. They couldn't walk down Madison Avenue if they did that. They couldn't walk in the club if they did that in New York. No way. The one thing about New Yorkers that I love, they're not starstruck. They're not. They see celebrities all day, every day. It's not a big deal. They treat you like regular people. That's why some people love New York and some people can't stand it. If you are a person who wants to be treated like a star, don't go to New York. If you're an athlete, it's almost like they give, like they have more reverence for like rappers, you know? And even that's kind of low key. But you couldn't do that in New York. And you shouldn't be able to do it in Sacramento. I'm very disappointed by that. Vicky, when you say even Mike, are you saying that it's disrespectful to Mike Brown? Is that what you're saying? I think you're saying that. If Bronny James, son of LeBron James, entered the 2024 draft, which team would sign him? I don't want to think about Bronny entering the draft. He's not ready for the draft, as far as I'm concerned. A lot of teams would take him, obviously, particularly I think 20 and below. He would go somewhere between 20 and 30 because he definitely has the talent to be an NBA player. He's just not ready yet. You know, he would probably spend a lot of time in the G League. I'd rather see him playing in college, building his rep, developing his game, normalizing his basketball experience, being a great teammate, being a college student. That's what I would love to see. Aussie, thank you, man. Thank you for helping me out. Hit the like button, everybody. Great show tonight, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I get caught up in doing the show. So I'm not a person who promotes the show probably as much as I should. But we're trying to run it up. You know, we're trying to run it up. You know, so if you like the show, hit the like button. If you don't already subscribe, then subscribe to the channel. Hit me up at Big Frank Red on X. Trying to run that up as well. That'd be cool to get to 1,000. I'm like at 500 or something. And I talk to people. You know, I do talk to people. Some people I have more of a personal relationship with because we interact more often. But I think people can attest that I do hit people back. I'm a real person. I'm in the same fraternity, Adam Silver, haha. Neil Armstrong, yeah, exactly. No, that Mike Brown missed, no. Mike Brown went to the presser. And, you can tell he was a little unnerved. He didn't throw his players under the bus. What he basically said was he doesn't know who's going to go to the post-game press conferences, and that was something that needed to be addressed by, I'm sure, the head media person who I believe he referenced. But, Mike's a pro. Mike's been in this league for, 20 plus years, 25 years? He doesn't like that because, like it or not, he's at the head of the snake. You know, everything that happens with regards to that team, particularly that's player-oriented, he's going to catch some heat for it. And it was disrespectful. So, Mike was at the press conference. SG, anybody who knows basketball knows that Bronny played for USC. Yes, he does hit you back. I bug him all the time. She's talking about me. Yeah. Yes, Frank Red does hit you back. I bug him all the time. Yeah. You don't bug me. We have engaging conversations about sports. I dig it. All right. Can you guys believe that we've been on air for an hour and a half? I can't. It goes so fast. It's engaging because of you. And I thank you for that. Excited about Wednesday. I want to see which Warrior team is going to show up. We're going to do a show after that game. That game's at 5:30. I'm probably going to do a show around 8:30, around there, 8 or 8:30, something like that. Let all the normal post-game shows kind of do that thing, and then we'll get on. But I look forward to talking to you about what transpires between the Pelicans and the Warriors. It wouldn't surprise me if Draymond came back a little earlier, and we'll probably hear some more stuff about the comings and goings of potential NFL coaches, who's leaving college, who's going to college, all that good stuff. One last word, Vicky says, I am glad that Michigan won. I am too. Because there's a lot of hate for Harbaugh out there. Those folks have to pause a little bit right now. All right, let me do my thing and I'm going to get out of here. All right. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. All right. Hit the like button if you like the show. Subscribe to the In the Dungeon program if you like it. And hit me up on X at Big Frank Red. You see it right there on the screen. We're trying to run it up. All right. I'll talk to you again on Wednesday. With that said, peace. Good night, everybody.